having a baby and PhDs. So I am a UK PhD student, so my situation might be a little bit different to that in the States because PhDs there are a little bit longer. So I think they might, as much as the US isn't as welcoming for people who want to have children and birth them. In the UK, the PhDs are a little bit shorter, so there are probably fewer people that have children during their PhDs. One of my concerns, which is probably unfair, was that essentially I was committing career suicide because postdoc life is very intense. Having a child before even having a postdoc sounds crazy. So this has been the process for me. I found out I was pregnant. It was great. It was very welcome. I've been married for 8 years, so it wasn't a massive surprise. And then the thought of how will I fit it in? I was quite lucky. I had not too much left, so I had about a year left. So I had my studies, some experiments, and COVID obviously threw everything out of whack. So there was all of that. And then it was organizing it with my supervisor. I think if you find yourself pregnant and you are doing a PhD, have a chat with your director of postgraduate education, for starters, because they can sort of direct you as to whether your department might help pay. So then you can go to your department head or your supervisor, and then they can go to their department head. But double check, because I went to my director of postgraduate education, and we just had this verbal agreement that my supervisor would probably cover it, or the department would cover it. And then it turns out, when it came to me getting the BMAT, which is the UK form that helps you get statutory maternity leave, that actually, A, my supervisor didn't have any money, so that's just an unfortunate thing, and B, that because I'm a student and I'm in a sort of biomedical science area, I'm not a medic doing a PhD, that I'm not staff, so therefore there was no statutory funding in place. It turns out there was actually a parental leave fund, but nobody knew about it, and I had to look it up and find that on my own. So again, if you find that your supervisor and your department can't help, there may well be something within the university structure itself. If not, try and ask higher up or further central to your university whether they have any other options. So that worked for me. So that meant that I got 9 months of UK statutory maternity leave, which was a godsend basically because my funding had actually run out. So I don't think I could cope, and I've still not finished. So when I go back, I still have to finish my write-up with no funding. So I'm currently on maternity leave now. I had the baby, which I just keep checking on, and trying to just sort of keep my head in the game. My supervisor's been amazing, so definitely keeping your supervisor on board. If they have kids, it really helps, or if they are super supportive and you know people who have had kids during their time with them, that's great. If not, I think just keeping it really clear. Some supervisors are very, I think it's luck of the draw sometimes. Sometimes you get people who are really helpful, other times you don't. I think the tough part is the fact that you essentially, if you don't have somebody helpful, you just have to keep advocating for yourself and going in for more support with whoever you can. What else is there to say? I guess, yeah, so the process at the moment is that I'm talking to my supervisor every 3 weeks, now that I've had the baby and I've healed more so and things are settling down. I've also been very lucky because the little baby is quite happy. He's quite a chilled little dude, so it really helps. Had he been like I was as a baby, I was really upset all the time and very colicky, so that might have affected things. So I have managed to sort of try and keep doing reading, look through my work, just process some things, look at some extra code, but nothing particularly major. I imagine there might be some groups or universities, or it depends so much on the supervisor, that might not want you to be in contact, but that would be really rare, surely, because you're showing an enthusiasm for the work and they obviously want to help you get your research done. So then the goal is that I go back. It'll be the winter time. By the time I go back, it'll be the winter, and I will hopefully be able to work remotely for some of it. If not, find somewhere in the building to pump and try and do all that kind of stuff. But because I'm right at the end, I have minimal experiments which are completely dependent on supervisory finance availability to do those experiments. So mostly it's writing up. If this happened at the beginning of the PhD, it would have worked out a little bit differently. So some of the funding provisions are only available if you've been at the uni. In fact, even taking interruption of studies, which is the sort of official way of taking some leave if you're ill or having a baby, or there's a big family emergency or stuff like that. So those kinds of things, that would be affected by how long you've actually been doing the PhD. In fact, the parental leave fund that I applied for, it was dependent on me still being a student and me having been a student for over a specified amount of time. Now, each university probably has its different policies and protocols, so please check your university for that. If, in the case that your university does not have anything at all available, and you found out in good time, you could get a part-time job. It's not ideal and it's hard, especially if you're going through, morning sickness, all of the appointments, which were a shocking amount of appointments that you go to for scans and checks and blood tests, and there's a lot. If you manage to get a part-time job, and I think there's a minimum hours you need to work, you can then go through that employer. I think you need to work for a minimum of, don't quote me on this, but there's a minimum number of weeks prior to giving birth and a minimum number of hours per week that you need to work, and then you can get the statutory UK maternity leave pay, which as of I think April 2022, it was something like £159 a week. And that you get when you get your BMAT, after the 20-week scan. So how has that affected things? I'm not sure for career. I have to say I was pretty ambitious before getting pregnant. During the pregnancy, I was very ambitious still. I was very much hoping to get back into the lab way before mat leave officially ended. And now that I've had the baby, yeah. As a bioscientist, I probably should have a bit more awareness over the sort of processes, but I'm not sure the biochemical processes that are present in the hormones and stuff in maternal processes they are not explained well enough. They are strong. I have very little motivation to do any work right now. It's only been 3 months, but I know some people who are, doing in their paperwork, getting their PAs to take their work to them in the hospital. It affects everybody differently, but it really is. They say it's life-changing. It really is, and it's really frustrating because that's as best a description as I can give. everything has changed. My patience has changed. My tolerance for others has disappeared. But for the little one, honestly, I don't think he could do anything wrong right now, and I'll be like calm as anything, and I am so highly strung. um, yeah, so I think that's definitely going to affect postdoc life. Should I go into a postdoc? Obviously, it's not a surprise that only about 4% of PhD graduates stay in academia. Not just for the stress of PhDs putting many people off, but also because there just aren't enough postdoc positions available, especially right now when funding is being cut because of changes in how everything is working and the changing world. But that is my advice for today. That essentially, if you find out you are pregnant, congratulations, and you will be a doctor parent hopefully at some point in the future. Don't stress, it'll all be good. But check out those initial resources of talk to your director of postgraduate education at your university. Check your department for funding. They might say no straight away. Check your supervisor. It's so awkward saying, "Hi, I'm going on mat leave. Can I have some money?" But essentially, you are a human resource to them, and you're very important. And PhD students cost a lot to train, so, and allegedly they want women in science. So, what you gonna do if we're gonna do these biological things like have kids? Then I don't know. Should is it? I don't know. Am I really? I don't know. Maybe I'm super entitled. But I want to be a constructive, contributing member of society. So why shouldn't us goyles or birthing people be supported through what is a crazy time, but I think provides us with lots of experience to further provide later on. Anyway, I'm waffling. That's what I'm saying. Check with your director of postgraduate education, check with your supervisor, check with your department. Worst case scenario, part-time job, try and find something easy, maybe telesales. Maybe you have an amazing skill set and you can do some stuff remotely. I don't think it's many hours a week, but that should get you going so that when you finally get your BMAT, which is it's a maternal form, then you can apply and get your statutory maternity leave, which isn't a lot. So if you are still receiving funding from a charity or whatever, I would try and save as much as you can to help you towards any months you take off. But start preparing for baby brain. It's not that bad. I'm making it sound worse than it is, I promise. But let me know in the comments down below if you are a PhD student having a baby, have had a baby, were a PhD student and had a baby and finished, because success stories are always very inspiring, because I've not finished yet. I can't promise stuff. I'm just learning as I go, and I just wanted to share it with other people because I was pretty stressed when I was trying to get the extra funding, well, the mat leave, essentially. But now that I've got something, I feel, and I've had him, and he's alive, and I'm alive, drama, it feels better. So, bye! Oh, I don't know if I'm going to make enough videos to like and subscribe, so, future me, sorry for this terrible first video.